Here's the one thing I would do if I had to start my copywriting career over from scratch. When I got into copywriting back in about 2015, I moved up the ranks relatively quickly. And a lot of that was because I was just hungry. I would work every spare minute that I had. I would reach out to clients. I'd practice copy in my spare time. Like, writing for me was fun. And that meant that actually after about a year, I was earning over 100k already, which, let's face it, is not bad going. Clearly, a lot of copywriters do better. They make more money or they make that money quicker. But I think most people will be happy with that for their first year in a new business. Despite that though, there's one mistake that I made that if I could go back to the start again, I would definitely do differently. And that mistake is that I took too many orders from clients. Now, I don't mean that I was bossed around, I don't mean that I was their whipping boy and at their beck and call, but I didn't really think strategically. So when a client said to me, oh, we're doing this launch, we need 8 emails, we need a landing page, we need, I don't know, a sales page, I would say, amazing, cool, I'll go and write it. And what I wrote was generally good. We usually got a great result, had some absolute home run wins, had some terrible failures as well, but on the whole, my strike rate was pretty decent. The trouble is that kind of put me in a bit of a box. And so for years, whilst I earned well, I worked with some awesome clients who got great results, I definitely felt more like I had an employed role than I had an actual business. And I still had freedom, I could work more or less when I want and all that cool stuff, but I still felt like I was a bit of an order taker rather than someone who called the shots. And the thing about this is a lot of copywriters assume that clients just know best. I mean, you're hired to do a job, right? So when someone says to you, we would love this deliverable, that deliverable, and this other deliverable, you want to help them, you know you can do it. So you go, amazing, cool, yeah, leave it with me, you'll have it back in 48 hours. And that's fine a lot of the time. There are some clients you'll work with who are so experienced about this, who know their niche so well, they've done so many launches that actually if they say that, you probably do just want to say, cool, leave it with me. But a lot of clients aren't business strategists and they're not expert marketers. They just maybe have learned from someone else, or they've always done things a certain way. And so they think that's what they need to do. But actually, when you bring new ideas to the table, that's when you start to level up from being just a copywriter to someone who's actually integral to the business. So case in point, recently I was chatting with a client and Q1 and Q2 of this year were amazing for them. But the last few weeks, sales have started to drop off a bit. Now, we have a few different ways to get people into the pipeline. We run ads on Meta, we run ads on LinkedIn, we even do some Google ad stuff as well, I think. And our funnel is based a lot around live workshops and webinars, which work really well. And so when we were on this brainstorming session and people were saying, well, we could do a workshop based around this, or we could do a workshop based around that. We could change things up a bit, make it a bit interesting, a bit different, and run traffic to it and whatever. And it was all perfectly valid ideas. Like, this stuff could work. But I could foresee 2 problems. First of all, we're just giving people more of the same. People have already come along to workshops and webinars, and we've got a big chunk of people there who haven't bought anything from us. Secondly, it's very time intensive. We need a lot of people on the team. We need people to be showing up and doing the webinars and the workshops and that kind of thing. So yes, it might work, but if it doesn't work, we've spent a lot of time and a lot of energy on something that's rendered pretty useless. So I said, well, let's look at our database. Who have we got here who has attended some workshops already? They've engaged with some content, but they've not actually bought from us yet, or they've not booked a call to talk about working with us. Now, in my head, there's specific messaging that those people need. They're at a certain level of awareness. They don't need to know the benefits. They don't even really need to know the problems. What they need to know is that our solution can provide the result that they want. So they're going to have specific objections. It'll be things like, does this work for my niche? Does this work for my size of business? Is this going to work in this industry? Or, I'm going away for a few weeks in the summer. What happens to my payments? Stuff that on the front end you wouldn't even think about, because to a top of funnel person, it's just not even in their heads. They're not at that level of awareness yet. But to someone who's already consumed a lot of your content, that stuff's going to matter. So I said, well, we could do all of that, but why don't we just make it easy? Why don't we segment these people in our database and send some specific messaging to them? And so that's what we're doing. So full disclosure, we've not run that yet, so I can't give you any results. But regardless, first of all, I'm very confident in this. And secondly, it's just being able to bring that new idea to the table that's simpler, that we can test faster, and it's a lot cheaper as well. So even if it does fail, it's not a loss. And that's a difference to becoming a bit more of a strategic advisor. You'll probably hear people say things like being a creative strategist or a full stack marketer, all that kind of stuff. And I suppose that kind of is this, but to me, that phrasing's just a bit wanky. So really, if you're a copywriter and you want to have better clients, charge more money, and also have clients come to you and say, look, we've got this problem, what can we do to solve it? Rather than just giving you deliverables, that's what you need to do. And this is why I'm so big on the behavioral psychology aspect, why I'm so big on understanding decision architecture and how people buy and all that kind of stuff. Because if you don't, yeah, you can make a good living as a copywriter. But like I said at the beginning, that's what kept me as just a copywriter for years. These days, people come to me because they want my ideas, they want my input on stuff that isn't just writing words on a page. And to be honest, business is a lot more fun because of that. It pays a lot more, and also I have a lot more freedom because I'm not sat there typing words till 10 p.m. Often it can just be, have you thought of doing that? No, if not, cool, let's do it. You get paid, everyone's happy. So if you are working as a copywriter, I get it. It's often a bit uncomfortable to kind of change the role that you're hired for. But honestly, if you take ideas to clients and they're good ideas, they'll be more than happy that you did.